I'm not supposed to be doing this. Hi, Virgo. You're supposed to go last. You're supposed to go last. And then, so the way this works, the way I pick my, is I go by how I feel. And since a lot of you have been getting on my nerves, I was like, I'm going to leave them till last so I don't cloud the reading with my, like, what's wrong with you. So that's why I was going to leave it. But then two things happened in a row, one yesterday and one this morning, that were like screaming, like, this is for the Virgo reading. And I was like, I want to wait. Like, I already told them they're going to be last. Like, they should go last. They've never gone last. But it's really good. I'm not going to deny my process out of, like, immature, like, I'm not going to be spiteful. I'm not going to be resentful. Actually, I don't have much to be resentful about with you guys. It's not that. I don't resent you. It's just that you guys have been moving a little bit funny in April, and a lot of people have noticed. A lot of people have noticed. But we talked about this last month, about how when you start to do well, you got to, watch your mouth. Remember we had that conversation? So I think a lot of you didn't do that and rubbed people the wrong way. And I've been thinking about it a lot, because in my own personal experience, the only people this past month who really, like, for the first time in a long time, like, betrayed me, all like 3 or 4 of those people were Virgo women. And I was just like, wow, how can it be that, like, a sign that I'm so close to, obviously know so many of them, and like treat them so much like my own. Like, how could this be like this? And I've been thinking about it a lot. First I had to get over my anger about it, and then I had to get over kind of my, like, feelings of betrayal and resentment about it. And then I just kind of opened myself up to, let me be super compassionate right now. Let me, in this particular dynamic, let me not feel like I'm down here with Virgos. Let me even this out a little bit. Let me balance these scales out a little bit. Okay? And see what's really going on, because I've got to be doing something too. Or it's something that I'm just not understanding about the Virgo nature. And that is very interesting to me, because I'm always, wanting to get better at what I do, and not even for what I do. I just like to know stuff, So I've been thinking about it hard, like, just what's been going on, because every single one of the things that happened, it was unprovoked. So it, like, really made me think, like, okay, it was unprovoked on the surface, but what's going on underneath that I'm not understanding? And this is what I've come to. I think that for Virgos specifically, the dynamics between Virgo women and Virgo men and their partners are very, very different, but they can be defined in the same way. So I'll start with the women, and then I'll relate it to, what's going on here, which I can see already has a lot to do with just Virgos in general. Actually, you know what? Let's do this first, and then we can talk about, like, that thing that I realized about you guys and what's going on with you right now, and why you've been, kind of pushing people away a little bit even, You find yourselves leaving things that you're not willing to give up for, right? That you're not willing to sacrifice for, and walking away from stuff that could have potentially worked, but, it's not what you're looking for. You're looking for something, for lack of a better word, better. Something that suits you better. Something that fits your idea of what you want for yourself better. The pain that comes to a Virgo from having to sacrifice is only when they've settled. Sure, if you settle for what you know is beneath you, then when that person or that thing or that institution or that job wants you to sacrifice, you're like, well, this sucks. I don't want to do that. Why would I do that? You know what I mean? Like, but imagine if you didn't settle and didn't give in to perhaps your more base instincts as a male or a female, and waited for something that you personally thought was truly spectacular, right? Then if that person or that situation asked you to make a sacrifice, you'd very happily and magnanimously do it. There's something to that, right? So this month, you guys find yourselves just kind of looking at a situation in that kind of cold, determined way that you can, and saying, no, I don't think this is going to work. I talked about in one of the other readings why you guys are like this. It's really interesting. It has a lot to do with the time of year that you were born, because the time of year that you were born, what is on everyone's mind, or back when we were a more agrarian society, what was on everyone's mind was discernment of the harvest. Figuring out how much of the crop could be saved or was worth saving or feasible, how much wasn't, how could the next year's planning be affected by what was done this year. You know, a lot of what Virgos are really good at, which is critical, analytical thinking, discerning things, seeing patterns, being able to plan it, being able to order in advance, all these things that you guys do, it has a lot to do with what happens at your time of the year. So when someone that is that refined and that into picking out the best of the best of the best, when that person doesn't wait for the best of the best of the best, well, they're kind of pretending, right? And what ends up happening is not only are they pretending, but they're not really giving, right? Because if you don't feel like what you're involved in is worth you, or that you're above it, right? That it doesn't match you in value, are you actually giving, or are you just taking? Now, if you're not giving, if you're not sacrificing to a situation because you don't think that this is enough to sacrifice for, okay, so you're not giving, but you are still taking, right? So what takes and doesn't give? Parasite. I'm not saying you're a parasite. I'm saying you have it in your nature, but let me explain. So, the only way that that parasitic relationship exists if you are doing something where what you believe your value is isn't met in the other thing, and so you're not going to put your value forth. Another way I can explain this is one of the Virgos I met recently said to me very, very soon after meeting her, I just want to do exactly what I want to do and nothing else. That's my issue in relationships. And to be perfectly honest, when she said it, my head went up in flames. It made me so angry. And I'll tell you why. And I told her why, because I couldn't keep it to myself. I was like, let me ask you a question. You know, just real, like, just calm myself down. I was like, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you guys this too. If you're feeling the same way, which you might. You might be like, yes, I feel that way too. Why should I have to? Okay. If someone is walking around outside somewhere, yeah, and they walk by you and you don't ask them, you know, how are you? How are you doing? Do you want something to eat? Do you need something? Are you doing... That's not a big deal, right? Because that's just some random person walking down the street, and you're another random person walking down the street, and, you know, that's just what that is. Now, what if I invite you into my house and say, please, come into my house? And then when you get there, I say to you, you know what? I like doing exactly what I like to do when I like to do it. You want to stick around? Okay. So purely on the basis of like hospitality, already, like even saying that, my head went up in flames because I'm from an extremely hospitable culture, which is why I think my mind went there when I first heard it. Because I was like, so what's the distinction? If you're just by yourself and you're out here in the world and you don't feel like sacrificing for anyone, once again, I'm going to give you, you know, your primo Virgo example. Who on this planet didn't at one point want to sleep with or be with Keanu Reeves? Everybody. but he didn't settle, right? He didn't settle. So you have to endure the life of loneliness if you're going to try to meet your standards, because when you meet that standard for that person, you will absolutely sacrifice. But if you're going to delve into mediocrity, knowing that it's beneath you, knowing that it's not enough, knowing that you won't want to sacrifice for it, then aren't you going into it already being parasitic? Don't you already know that you're not really feeling this as much as the other person? Think about it, right? So the distinction being, when you're walking around out there, you don't have to care about how people feel because you're not inviting them into your life. So fine, you can say, I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. Yeah, okay, so go. But what is this nonsense about now also wanting to be in a relationship and wanting someone next to you and wanting that person to care for you and be cared by you, which is also addictive. But then you're going to turn to that person, so you invite them into your house and then you sit them down and you make them feel real comfortable and real at home. And then you say, I don't give a fuck about your feelings, okay? This is my house and I like to do what I want. As long as that coincidentally coincides with what you want to do, great. But if it doesn't, we're going to have a problem. Doesn't sound too good, right? No, because it's not. Because it sucks. And before you're like, oh, this is what her... No, actually, it's not. No, this is not what... This is like legit what this girl said to me. And it made my head go up in flames. I was like, oh, that's... Oh, wow. There is like a level of selfishness to that that's like almost unreal, right? So then don't invite people into your house. Don't get into relationships with people if what you want is to feed off of people. So now let me give you an example of this that my son gave me, which really redeemed it for me. Because I was like, am I really going to go in this video and tell them that they're parasites? I've been thinking it. I'm like, I need to do their video last because I can't be out here telling them that they're parasites, even though they're acting like parasites. And then yesterday, very good friend of mine who's a Cancer. She's an amazing photographer, like really heart and soul photographer. Her name's Marguerite. She sent me a beautiful photo. And I showed it to my son because my son and her are friends. You know, my son has his Cancer, Mercury is in Cancer and his Venus is in Cancer. So he communicates and he loves like a Cancer, and she's a Cancer. So they get along really well. So she sent me this beautiful photo of this certain type of flower that was growing out of the water. And I showed Baba and I said, hey, Baba, you know, Marguerite sent you a photo. Like, look, it's so pretty. And he looked at it for a second and he said in Danish, he was like, oh yeah, that's, those are the ones with the parasites. And I was like, wait, go back, what? And he was like, yeah. He's real cool. He's real smart, mashallah. So when he knows something, he loves, like when someone doesn't know something that he knows and he can tell you. So he's like, oh, let me tell you. So apparently this one flower, it cannot take root, right? Because there are no holes in the stem. So it can't, the only holes in the flower are once it blooms. So until then, it's a completely closed system. If the parasites don't come along and eat the bottom of the stem and make holes in it, it can't bloom. It can't take root. It can't bloom. And I was like, and he's just telling me this and I'm just staring at him like, and then I was like, oh, I should do the video now. And then I was like, no, I'm going to wait. I told them they were going to go last, you know. But I've been thinking about it because Alan Watts says that a bee and a flower is one organism. It may appear like two different things, but it is part of one greater organism that works together. And in the same way, so are the parasites in the flower. So as a Virgo female, you have the option to be the parasite, right, who just takes, or you have the option to be the flower because they're both part of the same organism, or perhaps to find a balance between both. Because in measured amounts, neither one is that bad. You're allowed to take as long as you give. But it makes me feel better to know that in certain instances, in many, I'm sure, parasitism is necessary in nature, and perhaps it is in human nature as well. But I don't want you guys to stay there. Sure, you can do that, and apparently it's necessary for you guys to be that way sometimes, but you can just as easily be the lily, right? You don't have to be under the water like the little bugs eating at the stem. You can be the whole thing. Maybe that's your evolution, is to go from taking and being a taker to being so radiant and so beautiful and so comfortable with what you've chosen that you become a giver. Now, the other way we can look at this is from the male point of view. So Virgo men do the same thing where they don't want to sacrifice, but they do it for a completely different reason. Now, this is why I'm actually doing the reading today, because this morning, so I had that really brilliant thought of oh wow, okay, that's how that parasite, that's how that works. And I was like, no, I'll do it at the end. Then this morning, I'm listening to Joseph Campbell's A Hero with a Thousand Faces, which I like to do. I like to listen to anything Joseph Campbell, just soothes my soul. So today I'm listening to a part where he's talking about the different rituals that happen in cultures when a man is taken from, boyhood, when a male is taken from boyhood to adulthood, and what that ritualistic process looks like in several different cultures, and how that ritualistic process actually mirrors the greater process of human to shaman, which happens later in life. And that's, applicable to you guys, because as the Hermit card, you are the shaman, right? Depending on where you are in the shaman's journey, though, which is what I'm getting at. So part of what happens in the dance or ritual of a boy becoming a man in certain cultures is that the men will come in a group to take the boy at a certain age, 12 or 13, to be circumcised. And this is, the definable, we are going to put you through some real pain, right? And we're going to take something from you. And we're going to get to it. We're going to get to all this. We're going to take something from you. And the interesting part is that the mother, the grandmother, the aunts, the sisters, they play this theater where they try to protect the boy and keep him. And the men have to drag him away, and the women wail and scream. But they are not doing it for real. They're doing it for his sake. They know he has to go do this. They're all for it. But they put on this huge display of wailing and crying and screaming when they're taking him away, because they're mirroring his frightened, state. So one of the things he says while he's discussing this is that what happens to the boy is that he goes from his mother complex, right, to manhood. And the journey there is through pain. The journey there is through some ritualistic, painful experience. But the reason it's done is to break that mother complex, right? Because that mother complex will keep you a child. Now, how does that apply to Virgo men? What Virgo men want is someone who will give and give and give and not ask, and be okay with whatever they give in response. Someone who will be okay with whatever they do, right? Someone who will unconditionally, no matter how much they reciprocate or don't, continue to be this overflowing font of love. You know who does that, baby? Your mama. What? Am I wrong? Because if I'm wrong, tell me. But I'm not wrong. Do you know what my Virgo said to me yesterday? He said the confidence is staggering. Really? Not really. Because I know what I'm talking about. The confidence is not staggering. I mean, maybe to you. Not to me, because I know what I'm talking about. That complex of I need to have a romantic setup without reciprocity, which is exactly what that girl had said in another way, right? I'm just explaining it in male way. Because if I say to a Virgo male, like, you don't want to be the parasite, you want to be the lily, he's going to be like, just stop. Stop. You don't want to be the little boy with the mom complex who the women are just pretending to try to protect. Even those women want you to grow up. And unfortunately, the process of growing up, it does involve, listen, let me show you these cards. Now that I've lectured you for, good, 20 minutes. That's not even that bad. Considering my confidence is staggering, I should have been talking for like an hour, right? But look at these cards. You gotta face these fears. You gotta walk away. You gotta walk away. What are you doing? What is this nonsense? This is this mediocrity that you guys indulge in, and then you judge everybody else and you put that eye outward, but you don't see what you're doing, and now you're seeing what you're doing, and now you're scared. You don't know what to do about it. Stuck, sitting down. Stuck, right? You were here, and now you feel like you're here, but when you're here, you judge people, but then when you're here, you feel miserable, you feel stuck. But you know what you have to do. Look at the moon. Even the moon is like, can you just go? Like, even the moon is making that face like a meme face at you. Like, I can't. Can you just get your shit together, please? That's what that is. That's like you facing your fears and being like, okay, all right, I do want it. And maybe, no, I don't want it with this person. Okay, fine. Not really. No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. And why don't you? Well, let's get the obvious stuff out of the way. If you're dealing with a Libra, yeah, or you have a lot of Libra in your chart, because for me, you guys are coming up as this card. And I think that makes sense, actually, because you guys are kind of acting like Libras this month. You feel so paralyzed, and like Libras can be like that. Like they'll have something to say and they'll just, they'll internalize it because they're like, I'm not going to be ugly. I'm not going to let that person bring out the ugly in me. And you guys have that same quality, but you have it in the way where you're like, I'm too good for that. But what I'm saying is nobody's too good to realize what's happening here. This is mediocrity. Take a good look. Oh, look, double that. Hey, what everybody wants. I'm just wondering how many times these cards are going to come out in May. Oh, you see? Now let me tell you what my response back to the confidence is staggering was. What I wrote back was, not really, because I can feel it. You can't fight the feeling. You are gonna try. You're gonna travel. You're gonna run in your head and physically. You're gonna try to stall. Sure. Of course, you wouldn't be a Virgo if you didn't do all that nonsense. But there's a reason this is the bottom of the deck. And there's a reason that these cards are out the way they are. You want it, right? You want it. You want it. You want this. You guys want to connect with people. But after the way you've been acting in April, who you think is going to connect with you? You need to look at that thing that I'm talking about with the mother complex and the ritual of becoming a man, the parasite and the lily. You need to understand that you need to finish all this stuff that you have going on and bring it before you can reach this place of fruition that you'd like to come to. Because honestly, if you don't do this very serious weighing out, that's why you're coming up as a Libra. Because this is also a sort of discernment, isn't it? You've got to figure out, you've got to balance these scales out, dude. Which needs are more important than others? Which ones, all of a sudden, the need for emotional attachment is starting to tip these scales, and it's real scary, isn't it? Yeah, because that's the ritual of becoming a man, or that's the transformation from the bug to the flower. Like, it is scary. Of course it's scary. But this is really frightening as well. I mean, listen, is this lost on you? I hope not. How about this? Okay. How about this? There's nothing that says you can't stay here. But why would you want to? Why? The only thing that keeps you here is your own giving into mediocrity. That's it. You know when you shouldn't be spending too much. You know when you shouldn't be eating too much. You know when you shouldn't be drinking too much. You know what people are super toxic for you. You know when you're supposed to be trying to balance out. Balance, 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 right? You know. And yet, better to look outward and judge others than to look at yourself, maybe? But April is making you look because people are fed up. When people get fed up, then you guys start looking at yourselves a lot. You know, because you're like, wait, why are my little plans not working? Because there's something bigger than you happening here. I'm sorry to say it, but it's time for you again. It's time for you again. But is it going to drag you kicking and screaming into a better way to live? No. No. You don't have to take this road. You can stay here. That's cool. There's two people here. You can be mediocre together. That's fun. Right? Now, what is this mediocrity? What am I talking about? What am I talking about? This is lack of abundance. This is a job you hate. This is a career change that you need to make. This is a teacher you dislike who's constantly toxic to you. These are people that you are toxic to, that you know you're being toxic to. People that you call your friends, but you're jealous of them. People that you call your friends, but you talk about them. People that you call your friends, but you ruthlessly criticize them in your heads in ways that if they knew, they would never speak to you again. Mediocrity. You don't need to give in to the basest parts of your nature because this is where it gets you. If you can't, this is what I would say to you. If you can't say it out loud to somebody, stop thinking it. Stop indulging it in your head because you're still getting all the terrible karma for it, just for thinking it. You know, so maybe that's a place to start, is just finding a way to make, because this is also the card of compassion, depending on which person in the scenario you are, right? You could be using that same internal voice that is so discerning for compassion. So for example, you know, if you're really good at seeing where people's flaws are, there's two things you can do with that knowledge. You can either point out the places where their flaws are to help them and give them healing modalities to work with, or you can point out their flaws by pressing the wounds and hurting them. Right? And pointing them out and being critical of them and saying, look at your wound. Look at that right there. Look how wounded you are, right? You are the one that can discern where the holes are. What you do with that knowledge depends on if you're spiraling up or down. You know, if you're in the mother complex, you're probably using those wounds, you know, to poking your fingers in those wounds and infecting people. If you're the man who's been through the ritual and realizes that women are not going to just unconditionally love you for no reason and that you have to indeed make an effort, then you will be the man who has been through that experience, has become a man, and actually has quite a lot of value for where the wounds in a woman are, because you can heal them now, right? Because you're so smart. So in the same way, if you find yourself as a female dealing with other females and they, you know, feel you can tell that you rubbed them the wrong way, it's probably because instead of illuminating them, instead of highlighting them and shining your friends, you have instead, perhaps only in your mind, been eating away at them because it feeds your sense of inadequacy and perhaps jealousy. Sorry, but like, yo, we've been through this with Leos. A couple of months ago, I told them that they gossip. They took it really well, you know? Cancers lie. Geminis cheat. Like crazy. Like crazy. Like crazy. You know what I mean? Like everybody has something, but y'all are real sensitive about yours. But, you know, so why? Why all this? Because we're trying to get you somewhere, man. We're still on that road. We're still on that road of like earth sign success, earth sign happiness, earth sign completion. You know, she's a 3. She's the 3rd. You know, she's 3. Like, it's a closed system. Like, we're trying to get you to a place where well-being and love and all these things, they can exist in the same mind, in the same body, without you worrying like crazy, taking them apart. Like, and the way that you have a cohesive calmness in your mind, which you guys so desperately need, is that you have to start being honest with yourself about where you're making, like, for a sign that says they don't sacrifice, you sacrifice a hell of a lot. You know, like, as a Gemini, I couldn't spend 1 second with someone who was below my standard. You guys date people who are below your standards all the time, or you'll just randomly keep sleeping with them and like they get so hurt because they're like, oh my God, I can't believe this super hot guy is sleeping with me. And it's like, no, he doesn't care about you. He's just sleeping with you, right? Like, you will go against your own standards. So it boggles my mind. Like, I can't even go on dates with people that I wouldn't actually sleep with. You know what I mean? Like, or that I would, and I don't even sleep with people that I wouldn't actually want to introduce people to or want to like introduce, right? Like, you guys have like different standards for depending on what you're trying to do that day, but that catches up with you. And when it catches up with you and you start to see yourself in that really clean mirror, you're like, damn, you know, I'm moving kind of messy out here. Yes, you are. Yeah, you are. And the same thing applies to your relationships with other women, right? Like, I only know the stuff I know about what certain people said because other people came and told me. That's messy. That's very, very messy. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm sure as a Virgo, like, you should be cringing inside, right? Like, that's something you said that was super hateful to someone who was mad nice to you, right? There is a part of you that's like, ooh, I shouldn't have, ooh, that was just a moment where I said, yeah, that sucks, right? That sucks. So, if you want people to feel welcome around you and to be with you and for that love to come in that you're looking for, that's sitting in the center of your reading, if you want this, then you have to understand that when you invite people into your home, you must be hospitable. When you invite people into your life, you must be hospitable. When you invite people to your life celebration, you must take their feelings into account and give and give and give to them because you've invited them in. That becomes your duty, right? In Arabic, that's called faraz. That becomes your duty. That is what is expected of you if you take this step. So what I'm saying is, you cannot take the step. You cannot go through the ritual. You can stay in the Peter Pan complex, if you will. You can stay the bottom feeder. You can stay the one that pokes holes in other people's shine. Or you can be the radiant warrior man who's been through the transformation and like has a queen. Or you can be the radiant, gorgeous Lily who is giving perfume and beauty and aesthetic and life to everything around her. What a dynamic. What a distinction between the spiral up and the spiral down. You know, Scorpios can spiral up or down, but they still scorpions. They still sting the fuck out of you. You know what I mean? You guys, when you transform, it's glorious. It is glorious. Like, I know Virgo men who've been married for a long time and have like wives that they're crazy about. Like, when you see these men out, they could have like 4 kids crawling on them. And women want to eat them alive. They're so magnetic because that's a Virgo man who found himself. And he found himself in a relationship with someone who helped him find himself. And he's like radiant and happy and not sitting on a damn bench by himself eating a sandwich. Do you see where I'm going? Come on. Also, same thing with the women. You will very easily see the difference between a spiraling down or a spiraling up Virgo women. As a Virgo moon, I have those moments where like something touches my inadequacy And then it makes that critical, hyper intelligent part of me come out, and I'm able to say something super mean and super judgy. And I've had to realize that that is a lightning fast reaction to me feeling insecure about something about me. So seeing the difference between a devolving or an evolving Virgo female is really easy, right? So I'll give you an example. The most like evolved Virgo female I know, like in her Virgo-ness, is this gorgeous Virgo that I've known since I was like 4. She's Ecuadorian. She's so flawlessly pretty. Like every feature on her face looks like God was just sitting there, like, you know, having like a really good day. Like she's perfect. And from the minute I met her, what I've known about her is that she laughs all the time. She hugs you really, really tight. She always tells you she loves you. And once in a while, when she sees something about you that she really likes, she'll go, "Oh my God, you're such a bitch. I'm so jealous." And it's awesome because she's just fucking saying it. Like, she's not hiding it. She's not using it against herself. She's not beating herself up with it and then making that into some kind of toxic thing to throw at someone. She's just acknowledging it. She's like, "Damn, that's awesome. I wish I could have that." Right? Like, she was at my house and we were smoking in the bathroom, and I like jumped up on the tub and went over to the window. It's New York, right? And like opened the window above the tub. And she was like, "You're like freaking Spider-Man. Like, I wish I could be like that. Dad, I'm so jealous. You know, you're so physically fit." And I was like, but it didn't even, like, it's so cute, you know, because it's such a nice way to deal with your, she's like, I'm a lily, but you know, I'm part parasite, and like that part of me is funny, and I really dig that about you, and I wish I could have it. But like, I'm a lily, you know? Like, it's, you have to find that way in yourself now to be better. And if you're already there, if you're like, "Oh, I can't believe she's talking about this. I'm already there. I'm like this already." Fine, great. Yo, good for you. Very happy for you. Teach some other Virgos you know to be this way, because y'all are not all here. No, you're not. And also, as a piece of advice, if you are in the middle of something with someone and you're really feeling guilty about your role in it, you should say something. Don't let this paralysis, this Libra paralysis, hold you back. It will work against you. There is a very kind of magical time for you guys going on right now, where towards the end of the month, you can kind of have what you want for the first time in like 3 years. So be careful, right? Like, ask for the things that you want, but also get those things out in the open that need to be said. Don't be like circuitous about it. Don't talk to this person or that person. Talk to that person that you need to talk. You understand what I'm saying? Don't give in to the shadier parts of your nature, to the more insecure parts of your nature, to the worrying in your nature. Don't do that right now, because you'll be squandering all this life energy that you're being given as a gift. I mean, listen, this is a gift. This is a gift. If you're too much of an idiot to see that that's a gift, then the universe is going to be like, then you don't deserve it. Then you can stay here for another cycle. You want to stay here for another cycle? Fuck with it. You know how the universe is with you guys. The universe is very strict with you guys. For some reason, I guess for us guys, for some reason, it's like, no, you expect perfection. I expect perfection. That's why I stopped expecting perfection. My standards have nothing to do with perfection anymore, except for the shoulders and the eyebrows. No, we're not changing that. We can't change that. We can't change that. It's intrinsic. Whatever. I'm Punjabi. Whatever. Shoulders are a Punjabi thing. Whatever. I don't know. So you were supposed to go last. But we're here now, yeah? Don't do this. Do this if you have to. Do this if you have to. Don't do this. You know what this is? This is someone pretending to not know what they want when they know what they want. My favorite thing that Virgos say. Well, I'm trying. Okay. Anyone who's watching this right now, if you're a Virgo and you find yourself saying that a lot, I'm trying. I would like for you to take the closest thing to you, put it down in front of you, or put it in one hand and try to take it with the other hand. Don't do this. This is taking it. Try to take it. I'll wait. What does that look like when you try to take something? Try to move something. Try to do something. I just want to see a physical representation. Is there one? Right? It's ridiculous. Stop trying. Just do the thing. It requires a sacrifice. It's scary. They're going to drag you away from the women. The women are going to pretend it's a big deal. It's not a big deal. You have to go through it. Stop acting like you need to live under the surface. You're gorgeous. Just because other people are gorgeous and talented and doing stuff doesn't mean that you're not. This is not a race, right? No one else can be that Lily. Only you can be that Lily. That's your job. That's where you're going, no matter what. Only you can be that warrior or that shaman. That's your job. You want to keep putting it off and not do your job? Okay, well, if you don't want to contribute, the universe will treat you like someone who doesn't want to contribute. You have to be prepared for that too, yeah? This is the big picture. Sometimes that's infuriating. I feel like I should say something funny. I feel like Oscar Wilde, right? If you're going to tell people the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you. You guys kind of did kill me in April already. So, you know, at this point, like, you're dealing with the Phoenix. You can't kill me no more. So, don't be too mad. I really, really sincerely mean it from my heart. I'm only trying to help. And it's just as much for me. You know, I have gotten a lot better about not being the parasite, but for a long time I was, and I can still be sometimes. So please don't take it too hard. I know they're hard things to hear, but it's only for your benefit and for our benefit and for other people who are dealing with you to understand why you've been acting the way you've been acting, because legit, a lot of people have been hurt by you. You know, like in the readings that I did last month and this month, it comes up again and again and again. Like, I don't know why she did that. I don't know why she said that. I don't know why he did that. I don't know why. And I'm just like, damn, like, it's a lot, you know? And I think it's because this is the time where you see the bigger picture, and you can't see the bigger picture if you don't get into like the down and dirty of what's fucked up in you. You know, that's when you can really pull back and look at everything together and say, ah, this is what's going on. Okay? The confidence is staggering. But like in such a good way, right? I love you guys so much. Oh, wait, before I go. I will be in the Bay Area. First 3 weeks of October. I will be in LA the last week of October. I will be doing private readings. I put it up in the videos yesterday, and like, it's like I said in that video that you should book before September because it'll be full. You should probably book before August because it's filling up. So apparently, for some reason, Bay Area in particular. Now, having said that, one of the other things that's come up is that people would like to come from different places in Europe to the small regional airport here and get personal readings because it's super cheap to fly from Paris, from London, all over. And from London to here, I think it's half an hour. So if you guys wanted to get a group together and come over, or you want to come over since it's only a 30-minute flight, I think it's like a $50 flight, do that. You know, I would come to London, but I have a child and I'm here with my child, so I'm not doing that. But you guys are more than welcome to come here. So if you'd like to do something like that, that is also possible. What else? A lot of people have been asking about my book, and Virgos in particular. So it's going to be out next spring around this time. And it's going to be a hardcover, like a beautiful blue velvet hardcover, and an ebook, and it's going to be an audiobook. The audiobook is going to take a little bit longer because I'm going to narrate it myself. That's next spring. That's it. Now I'm done. I love you. I'll see you in June. God, how did you not end up going You guys are so spoiled. It's like ridiculous.